Welcome to the PharmaVOICE Editor's Take video series. Recorded live at the DIA 2014 annual meeting in San Diego. Hosted by Taryn Grome, editor of PharmaVOICE. In this episode, Taryn meets with Ed Seguine, CEO, Clinical Inc.
Welcome to the 50th anniversary of the DIA.
Thank you, Taryn. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us as well for our Editors Take video program. I'd like to talk a little bit today. Clinical Inc. developed the pharmaceutical industry's first purpose-built eSource solution. Can you tell me what eSource is and why it is important?
So eSource is all about collecting clinical data at the point of care, so between the physician-patient interaction. EDC and other technologies are typically gathering that data after the fact. They're leaving that physician-patient interaction up to, in typical fashion, paper, and they're documenting information on paper, and then they enter that in separately. And so trying to get rid of that paper at the very beginning is all about eSource. There's many modalities of eSource, but we've tried to create a platform that captures and eliminates the paper during that physician-patient interaction.
Great. So how is SureSource different than existing eSource solutions or traditional electronic data capture, or EDC?
Perhaps the most significant difference is that with eSource, you have to have a platform that facilitates that patient-physician interaction. Traditional EDC is organized the way that statisticians want to analyze data. That has very little to do with the clinical workflow that's going to be going on in front of a patient. And so understanding that how that physician is going to interact with the patient is substantially different from how you're going to analyze and organize the data is very different. You need a platform that supports that duality, the clinical workflow and the data business needs as well.
Great. So talk a little bit about how your customers are using SureSource to minimize drug development costs and timelines.
Well, essentially they are doing what many of them thought EDC would do in the first place, which is how do we start to reduce the cost of clinical research and reduce the time. And they're using electronic forms that run on a tablet PC that look like paper forms, but as they fill them out in front of a patient, it automatically feeds the database. And you're getting the data literally in minutes rather than days or weeks later.
So that talked about the time. Let's go to the other metric about money. How can money be saved by using SureSource?
The single biggest cost of a clinical trial is monitoring. And the reason that monitoring exists, and the reason for all this focus on risk-based monitoring or source data verification, is because of this duality between the paper, the source document, and the data, the clinical database, and needing to go and rectify any discrepancies between them, verify them. By definition, there is no difference between what's entered in the electronic source document and what's in the database. So you can actually reduce monitoring costs. It's very explicit. It's a very direct relationship between the cost reductions of monitoring and an eSource model.
You work closely with the FDA during the development of SureSource. How does that experience translate into a benefit for your customers?
Well, it's been critical. I would go so far as to say that we were the genesis of a lot of the FDA's efforts to create an eSource guidance in the first place. Our founder, Tommy Littlejohn, was personal friends with Dr. von Eschenbach back in the late 2000s and started that initiative. Because we've had such close interaction with them, there are specific elements of the application and the platform that have been developed with their concerns in mind. Because we've been the leader in this area, we've had the opportunity to go and present in front of the EMA GCP Inspectors Working Group and hear their concerns firsthand. And so there's very specific product features that we've built in that incorporate proactively the regulators' feedback and concerns.
Thank you for joining us for our Editors Take video program.
And thank you for having me, Taryn.
Additional Editors Take videos, as well as podcasts, white papers, webinars, and more are available at www.pharmavoice.com.